Welcome to What a Shift Show. I am Judi Diamond, and this right here next to me, that side of me, Laura Paskell-Brown. She is I call her my spiritual person, tarot doula,
I'm a
because she
fairy.
helps us. She is. You are like a fairy, kind of. You just need like the pointy ears. You could get those at Amazon.
Yeah. No, I just hide them under my headset.
See, they do kind of look like fairy wings, fairy ears. Anyway, I digress. We're going to talk about the cards, tarot cards, which you've studied them for a while. And I love the deck you use, the fountain deck, because it is a modern tarot deck. In fact, with an added card, the fountain.
Yep. Yep. For those of you who don't know the Fountain Tarot, you can check it out. But it's, if you know the major arcana, you know that it ends with the world. And these authors, there's three of them, and they're just beautiful. They added a final card, and rather than giving it the number 22, they gave it the number infinity, and they called it the fountain. And I think, I don't want to put words into their mouths, but the way I understand why that card is there is because, if you've ever heard of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, from the fool to the world is this kind of journey of the soul, essentially. It's what we do as humans. And the world is sort of an ending, a wrap up, and then off we go again around. And the fountain is a recognition that we are at a stage in human evolution where if we choose to, we can step off that wheel of karma, and we can step into from doing to being. And for most of us, even those of us who are trying to understand what on earth that means, it's still a little bit tricky. And Judi and I often laugh about how, when we pull the fountain, we throw it across the room. Because how the hell do you just be?
Exactly. Yeah. It's
so if
so
you're
true.
struggling with that, join the club. And also, it's just a recognition that as humans, we're evolving. There's more.
And I love the fact that tarot decks in of themselves, each one is its own personality, but they've evolved so much when you look at where it began. And that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to talk about, do tarot cards have set meanings? Because I think, so much of what people are looking for, not just in a podcast about tarot, but in a book and in a reading itself, is for somebody who, quote, knows more than they do to reflect back to them, this is what this means, and this is therefore the clarity it brings to your life. And essentially tell you what to do using the cards.
Right.
And, I can roll with that. And sometimes I do, definitely. Sometimes, something really comes through that's a very traditional tarot card meaning for me, and it just feels right. And also, if you've ever sort of engaged in the debate about the American Constitution and, is it a set document or is it a living document, and what's the point of the Supreme Court? Are they here to just understand what the founders meant or to really add their own interpretation? I think if you're to apply that to tarot, I really lean towards tarot cards are living entities. And if we're going to tap into living wisdom, not dead wisdom, but living wisdom that actually means something now, then we really need in every single moment to come at a card ready to forget everything we think we know about what that card means.
It's brilliant. That's the best way I've ever heard it put. It's brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, it's really how we should look at people, situations. It's so easy. I just got in a text argument with somebody because that person started with them, and then I continued it, went to what they thought I was going to think, what they thought because of what happened in the past, instead of looking at it as, this is a new moment, this is a new moment, this is a new moment, this is a new person, this is a new moment.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, in Buddhism, they call it beginner's mind. And all it means is that, we're not looking through the past, essentially bullshit, right? The stuff that's in our brain, the stuff where we go, oh, I know you. I've met you. I can already tell you what you're going to do before you say it, before you do it. And if you've ever had that done to you, you know that's annoying as hell. And also, we all do it as humans. It's our tendency. It's what brains do. Brains want safety and control, and they do that through saying, "Oh yeah, I know the answer. I know what this is." And you know, there's a whole new layer of tarot readers, and I'm just one of them, that are really trying to be a little bit more humble about the cards. And when we look at them, we go, okay, you know, here are a number of things this could mean. You know, some of them more traditional takes, some of them, you know, if you're like myself, I do have quite new meanings of what I think the cards mean. And also, you know, I think what's beautiful is that somebody who's never read a tarot card before can sometimes look at just the image, not even knowing anything about it, and say something that just whacks you between the eyes, and you're like, yep, and you nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think, in my opinion only, that the reason that tarot is malleable like that and is changeable is because it's a tool with which we can reach the divine, our spirit guides, you know, our helpers. And to me, I feel like each deck has a personality because it's coming through. It does have its own, but it's also in collaboration with those souls helping us. And I think that when I can feel, having readings, many readings, when the person reading to me, I can feel when it's real because you just go by what you feel. And I can feel with you when it's authentic. And do you, when you're reading a card, do you go there, or does it come through you, or is it just different every time?
I mean, I'm going to be real. When I'm in a really good spot and I feel very connected to the universe and very connected to wisdom, often what comes through my mouth, I have no idea what's going to come out until it's out. And if I'm having a bit of a tricky day and I'm stuck in my own head and I'm a bit fearful, and maybe I'm worried about something that happened this morning or something that's happening this evening, then I lean on stuff that I already know. And sometimes that's helpful, but also sometimes it's just, it comes from fear and it's a bit mechanical and it doesn't really land in the same
Mm,
way, you know,
mm-hmm.
because, you know, if you think about any moment you've had in your entire life where something suddenly hit you as incredibly true and you just had that like aha moment,
The light bulb.
the light bulb moment, like where does that come from? It does not come from your memory. It doesn't come from something you already had gone over and put together and put a bow on and put aside and came back to later. It's, you know, insight is a flash of mental lightning that just hits you. And so, you know, when I'm in a really good space, the readings I give, I'm like, you know, I'll say it and I'll go, whoa, you know, wow, that's really cool. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not tooting my own horn. What I'm doing is going like, wow, universe, thanks for
Thank
giving me
you.
that.
You're
Yeah,
giving gratitude. You're
yeah,
giving gratitude and love. Have
yeah.
you ever had where you've been in a place of maybe fear, not fear, stress, whatever, and you've been doing a reading, being a little bit more mechanical, but the person's spirit comes through and changes that? Has that ever happened?
Yes. Yes, definitely had that. I mean, I have had readings where I've been in straight up fear, especially near the beginning, where, you know, when I first started reading tarot, I sort of memorized almost like flashcards, like you do in exams, you know,
I
like
don't know how
I
you
had,
did that. There's just so many.
right, well, there's 78 of them. And,
Whew.
you know, I used to be a good student and I just did what I always did for school. You know, I like tested myself and what have you and memorized it essentially. And so, especially at the beginning, if I couldn't remember what the card was, you know, I'd have that feeling of panic. And then, yeah, sometimes the person in front of me would see something visually in the card or something would just strike them in their heart and they would say something and I'd go, oh, yeah, that's what it means.
Now let's go one
Um,
step further.
Yep.
Have you ever done a reading where you were in some sort of not centered, or maybe centered, either one, and somebody said that you were giving a reading to actually was for you?
Good question. I mean,
I
I
always wondered
think
that if the
in a
tarot
weird
works that
sort of
way.
way, everything is always for us. Um, and I'll try and explain what I mean. I think, if you believe that the universe is essentially energy and that we're all kind of talking to each other on this level that we don't really understand, the people who are coming to me for readings are attracted to whatever is in my field, right? And so, I'm a former birth doula. I have that in my past. And so sometimes because of just the network of people who know me, but sometimes completely randomly, people will show up on my doorstep and they have questions about fertility, infertility, pregnancy, miscarriage, parenting, whatever it is. And that there's just a sort of they're asking questions that are directly related not only to my wisdom, but to questions I have for my own life. And so it might not even be that. It might be if I'm struggling with something to do with my ex, with my partnership, all of a sudden I get a wave of clients who are struggling with the same thing. And so I think in a weird kind of way, what's beautiful about being a tarot reader, or really any kind of sort of quote healer, whatever word you want to use, is that it's a two-way street. And that if I can be humble enough to see the lesson for myself, there's pretty much always going to be one for me.
Beautifully said. Again, I can quote you twice at least. I love that. Well,
Yeah.
that's just a little bit about the tarot cards. I think it might sound confusing to you if you're listening to this and you're going, okay, well, didn't that really? But to me, it was actually very enlightening that there really isn't necessarily one specific meaning for each card.
I think I mean, just to put in the elephant in the room, I think it can also feel quite frustrating to people, right? It's like, okay, but what's the right answer?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
What is the goddamn right answer? And,
Right.
we all have that piece of us too. Like, just tell me the answer so I can put it on a Post-it note and stick it on my mirror and I'll always know.
Or just tell me what to do. Tell me
Right,
what
or
to
just tell
do.
me
And
what
it's
to
like
do.
riddles. Tarot to me
Yes.
sometimes is riddles. And
And
I'm
the
going,
truth is
okay,
that,
I kind of get it, but I don't want to do it. So give me more. And we want it in our face. And the universe is
yes.
not going to give it to us in our face. Sometimes they do, but
I mean, sometimes the universe is very unsubtle, right?
yeah, true.
And that there's a kind of baseball bat kind of thing that's happening to us. But I think what it's not is a same answer. So, for example, if you are struggling with a particular thing and you pull a particular card, or you do a particular practice, or you perform a particular ritual and it works really well, the brain goes, oh, okay, so every time I have that problem, I'm just going to do that and it will fix it.
Right.
And the universe is like, well, no, not really, because if it were that easy, you wouldn't grow.
We wouldn't be here. We'd be with them.
Right.
We'd be
Yeah.
spirit guides somewhere.
The human world is it's messy.
It is messy.
And so if you're sitting there going, okay, well, how is that useful to me? If the answer's always different, then I'm never going to be able to learn the tarot and it's never going to be useful. And I would say to you, there are definite trends in how I read a card. Like, it's not like every time it's different. There are definite, there are themes to the cards. There are ways that I understand them that grow more meaningful every year and just kind of deepen and broaden. So it's not like it's totally random. But I think, if you've ever read a book or seen a movie that really struck you as profound, and then you come back a year or so later and you watch it again and you see a whole new layer that you just didn't see before.
Yes.
I think that's what we're really talking about. You are ready to see, and you are ready to understand what you're ready to see and ready to understand. The Bible talks about, for those who have eyes to see and for those who have ears to hear. We are ready to see and hear what we're ready for. And so the cards will give you exactly what you're ready for. And, you know, when I first started reading, I had a particular, you know, set of understandings, and it was what I was ready to hear. And these days, I have quite a few different new takes. And I think that reflects just the fact that I'm able to see a different, just different stuff today. And so what is beautiful about that, what is tricky about that, is your brain can't control it. And so it's going to be annoyed about it. But what is beautiful about that is you will constantly be given new and inspired messages that you couldn't see before, and you will never stop growing. Even if you memorize the tarot back to front, in 3 years' time, you'll pick up another card and you'll go, oh, that's what it's really about. And that's not what it's really about for everyone. That's what it's about for you now, given what you need to know and how you need to grow.
At that moment.
Yes.
I love that. And what I would like to ask, if Laura, if we could do some sort of before we were to do a reading, whether it's for ourselves or with a tarot reader, some sort of a meditation that would be helpful to do before a reading.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
Are you up for that? And then maybe pull a card for the collective?
You know me, I'm always up for a meditation.
Oh,
All right,
yay.
so if you're out there and you're driving, obviously, please keep your eyes on the road. But if you have the ability to sink in with us, then please feel free to. So if you want to close your eyes, do so. If you can get cozy, I encourage you to. And just take the deepest breath you've taken all day. And feel the chair or whatever you're sitting on beneath you. Know that in this moment you are safe, you are supported, and you don't need to know the answer to anything at all. You just need to breathe and keep breathing. And notice that even that is done for you. You are actually, if you're really paying attention, you're not breathing, you are being breathed. The universe is breathing through you in this moment. The universe keeps your head on your shoulders. It keeps your heart pumping blood around your body. It keeps your digestion moving. Everything inside you that functions, you are not doing any of it, and it's all supporting you. So just imagine yourself floating on your back in a body of water, whatever body of water feels safe to you. And as you're floating, you're looking up at the moon or the sun, whichever one, and just basking in its rays. Again, this water is a gift, is effortlessly supporting you without asking for anything in return. The celestial beings are giving you light without asking for anything in return. And now just call in the wisdom of whatever feels like the most vast and safe and omnipresent force around you. You might want to call in the wisdom of the water. You might want to call in the wisdom of the sun or the moon. You might want to call in the wisdom of Mother Nature herself, of cycles, of continuous birth and rebirth and birth and rebirth. Just whatever strikes you. Call in that wisdom and ask for it to be channeled through you, through your deck, through anyone you're reading for or with, or anyone reading for you. Knowing that that force that you're calling on is both loving and impersonal. It loves you deeply, not because of any special characteristics you carry, but just it loves you, no matter what. And bring that force into your body. Let it fill every cell of your body, especially your heart and your third eye and any other crevice of your body that really needs love and wisdom right now. Ask it to show you. Ask it to guide you. Ask that you might be humble enough to let the wisdom of that force take precedence over your human will. And then if you want to, placing a hand over your heart, maybe even one over your third eye if that feels good. Taking a really good, long, deep breath. And whenever you're ready, coming back to the room.
That felt good. Whew.
Yeah.
I say we pull
I'm
a
just
card.
aware as we come out of that, that if you're somebody who has a menstrual cycle, just checking in where you are in that, if you know, if you're in that few days before the period, know that if you're anything like me, that wisdom's going to be a little trickier to find.
Oh, yes.
Give yourself some love.
Yes,
Or go just drink a cup
definitely.
of tea instead.
Yes. Oh, to be female.
Oh, to be female. And if you're somebody who doesn't have a cycle, then go at it. Go at it.
Full moon.
I am shuffling the cards. I'm wondering if you have a question, Judi, or if we should just pull one and see what happens. What do you want to do?
Say we pull one.
All right.
Yeah. I was
Okay, so again, I'm using the Fountain Tarot. Oh, couldn't make this up. All right. Here is the Temperance card. And for once, it's actually in focus. So you see this lovely person here in the water. Funny, we're just in a body of water in the meditation. And, you know, one of the themes of these cards of this deck is this vertical line of light that comes down. You see it on this card.
Whoa, that's what I saw
Straight
during my
down.
meditation.
Really?
Oh my God, it was golden white. Yep, from the way
you
up
go.
all the way through. That's exactly what it looked like. Wow.
There are no coincidences. So yeah, what else?
Wow.
So whatever you see in the card, trust it. If you're listening, obviously it's a bit trickier, but you know, just trust what you see. And you know, some people, like I said, beginners will literally just say, you know, start talking based on what they see.
I mean, I see a man it looks like he's naked, but he's getting water or he's changing water, it looks like, but he's in the water. And so it's almost like he's giving and taking energy, the water. Is that what it is?
Just roll with it, Judi. Go with your intuition.
It
What do you
feels
think?
like he's being raw. He's naked, and he's raw, meaning naked. He's got this light just covering him that goes into the water, connecting him to water which flows. I think of flowing water. He's not standing though, so he's humble that he's bent over, and he's pouring something into a shell, but it's water, but he's also catching it. It's almost like he's pouring and getting at the same time. That's pretty powerful. Whoa, I just got chills. Whoa, be raw, naked, be you, give, take. That's what I get from that. In total, oh my God, chills. Whew.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, if you're at home right now, I encourage you, before I say anything about this card, to pause the podcast and just, do a meditation or do a little writing on what you see, what you hear in Judy's words, what comes to mind when you hear the word temperance, just tapping into your wisdom. And I think, in a way, I'm aware in this moment that because I, quote, know what this card means, my job is actually a little bit harder because
I
my
would
brain
think
is
so.
like, oh, I know this one. Can I get an A on it, please? So I'm going to attempt to access that wisdom we were just talking about, the intuition, and really shoot from the hip here. What I'm seeing today is I'm really focused on that light coming from above into his crown chakra and going straight down his body and sort of dividing him, the word temperance meaning sort of balancing and tempering extremes, trying to bring something into balance in the middle. And I see him pouring this water from one to the other, which again reminds me of kind of trying to balance. And the flow of water, just, what is water meaning to me in this moment? I think, water in tarot is emotions. And so
I think of it as a cleansing. It's weird. I didn't know it was emotions. I feel like he's cleansing because it's
it can
coming
be,
down with the
again,
water.
if we're really doing what we're talking about here, it can mean whatever you goddamn want it to mean.
I was just thinking. I didn't know it meant. I didn't know water meant emotions in tarot.
So cups, which are traditionally associated with water, mean emotions. And also, like I said, if we're really walking our talk right now, then water will mean whatever strikes you in this moment. So yeah, but I'm seeing him, if the emotions are flowing through, if he's allowing himself to be a channel without getting things stuck in him, then seeking balance means just letting it flow, letting it come, letting it go, not sticking a dam there so that the water's building up and building up and building up and becoming this sort of roaring torrent that if the dam bursts, it's going to be the opposite of balance. And so just for today, and again, I'm going to say this is not, quote, what my brain thinks tarot temperance means. But I will start with, what it's meaning to me in this moment is allowing everything to flow so that we can stay in balance and not get into a crazy state of one extreme or another. And as I wrap up with that statement, I think that easily could be a sort of akin, quite close to a more traditional take on temperance. And, often, I don't know about you, Judy, but often what comes through for a particular card for me is informed by what cards are around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm feeling called in this moment just to pull a couple of other cards and see what happens with that. So we've got two. Okay. All right. Visually, there's a theme developing here. So we've got Two of Swords.
In water.
Also a figure in water. And then the High Priestess, which is
the
not
light from the top.
in water, but does have the moon and is very much kind of just with this particular deck follows a sort of similar color scheme of the other two cards.
And I feel like something's light's coming from above for her.
Yeah. So what's coming through for you when you see this Two of Swords and the High Priestess?
It's interesting because when I marry it with the first one, Temperance, and I compare the swords. He's balancing, and here she is standing now, still on water, but she's standing now. It's almost. May I look at it again?
Hmm.
It's there. It is. Yeah, she's all of a sudden. I feel like it's a, and I don't know what it means, but if I'm taking it from the first one, making this what it means, she's now standing up and saying, "Okay, here I am. I'm going to do this. I'm ready now." And she's still a little bit of balance, but she looks stronger to me. And she's going. Her arms are up to the heavens with a sword. She's ready.
Hmm. Hmm. What about the high priestess?
She's veiled. She's got something over her, so it's almost like she's looking from above both of them in a way, almost like a babysitter in a way. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but she's watching the two of them and kind of watching over and going, yeah, yeah, okay, keep up the work. And then that's just what I get. I don't know if,
Mm,
if
yeah.
what she means.
I mean, I love first off that visually these cards literally, I mean, you couldn't get closer to the meditation that just came out of me, which PS, I had no idea that was and I never know what's going to come out of me in the meditation until it comes out. So, um, it's, there's water, there's the moon. Yeah. And then, traditionally the Two of Swords is about, um, sort of the split between one's head and one's heart.
Mm.
Um, and you notice that she's blindfolded, and and I'm not quite sure why they've placed her in water in this. I do think it's fascinating. And in this moment it's a bit beyond me why, but the swords are traditionally sort of, she's bared and ready, but she's stuck between one and the other. Do I go with my head? Do I go with my heart?
Is the
And
blindfold like, well, you just gotta blindly take a step
right. I mean,
or a swim because she's in
again,
water?
I think what that blindfold means can be different in every reading. In this moment, what I'm hearing is, if you want to get to this place of feeling more balanced in the temperance, um, you're going to have to essentially find the balance between the two,
Hmm.
um, and not sort of go with one or the other. That's what's coming to me in this moment. And then the high priestess, um, the word that is often associated with her is intuition. Um, she's the female, consort of the magician, and so there's a lot of magic to her. And what I'm seeing in this moment is that, um, she sits, because she's with the moon, because there's this kind of veil, she sits with mystery. She
Mm.
doesn't sit with, I know. Hello, I know the answer. It's on page 27 and it's always going to be the same answer. I think in this moment, she is here to really reinforce what we were saying before, which was, you go with your intuition, you go with your gut. Yes, your head is going to say one thing and your heart might say another, but if you want to find the balance between those, if you want to find the inner voice, if you want to let stuff flow, then you really have to admit that in the moment, intuition is not going to be something that you can write in a book or stick on a post-it and come back to every day. Intuition is in your body. It's a very different kind of learning than they taught you at school. They literally, I mean, I don't know about your schooling, but for me, my schooling was about trying to convince me that it didn't exist.
Totally. I think all schools do. I mean, they
Right.
don't. They certainly don't tell you to listen to your inner voice.
Hmm. And so, this is a spread. In this moment, the word that's coming to me is just empowerment. This is a spread for empowerment.
Hmm.
If we want to follow the traditional educational model, which says there are people who know, and they're like the professors or the tarot readers, and there are people who don't, and they're the students, then you can go with that model. But if you want to break out of that box, if you want to be part of an revolution of people who are saying, There is wisdom inside all of us, and there is no hierarchy of wisdom here. The most wise thing could come out of a 5-year-old. And literally,
It's true.
I've seen 5-year-olds pull tarot cards and say really wise things.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to break through that hierarchy of who knows and who's not, and who should be listened to and who should be silenced, we can do that. But if you want to break out of that, then, you know, let's really start walking our talk and recognize that whether it's tarot cards or science, we need
Or
to come
politics.
or politics, we need to come at it with an open mind every day, always, assuming that what we know might not be what the truth is today.
I love that. Thank
And there
you.
you have it, folks. And we'd love to hear your interpretations of what you saw in those cards. Because
Definitely.
That's what this is about.
Yep. And we'll share them. Talk about them. I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Make sure you subscribe.
See you again.